Good morning, welcome to today's daily live trading. Just looking at this euro dollar, I'm just clicking, I'm buying half a position here at on this euro. Now I will add into this position. I'm looking at the 4 hourly time frames. Really it's just running into this sort of I say mess, but key moving averages here, so I am buying just short of that, but looking for more upside here today, looking towards the back towards that 1380 sort of area. So I've gone long here. It's got daily pivots, got some resistance kicking in beforehand, but I've taken a long with half a position. I'm just doing on here. We'll add a half if it breaks through, so long on the euro. Stop wise, I'm going to be putting a 25 pip stop in for now. 25 pip stop, that should give me enough wiggle room. I just need to check that. That's just below 130. It's just come down the time frames here, and actually need a 30 pip stop on this this morning. So 30 pip stop, putting in there. So 30 pip stop. So it's half a position sort of gone in straight away. We'll add to this on the break through those key moving averages. Now I'm going to just put through to that 4 hourly chart and just keep an eye on here, so we'll get ready to add half again if it pushes up through that area. Let's just put this on our system. Okay, so looking to add into this position, if it gets above the daily pivot, if it starts pushing above the daily pivot, at the moment it's the risk is it just could stall and roll over at these levels, but I'm bullish on the bigger picture on the euro, and the trend is just hanging in there. It's a bit ugly maybe, but on the dailies, but it's come off its daily 8 this morning and moving up at this stage, so it's just looking to see if we can push in just on the break of those, as I say, on those highs there. So just waiting to see, well, highs at where the daily pivot is, etc. Just waiting to see if it will push through that 128. Let's say we'll trigger on 130. And then targets really are up around these bodies up here, just trying to play it into shape, into mode, not trying to look to hold it for a home run. If it went for a home run, it'd be nice. Stop wise would be around about a 30. I just need to give it enough wiggle room below where it is. So the second entry would probably have that. Well, I'll add the same 30 pip stop on there just to give it enough wiggle room in this market. So it's trying its best at this stage to break on through here. Look. So ticket sitting there ready. So I'm just using my little small account on my LMAX small account there, just waiting to see if that breaks through. Just got to make sure I mirror this on prop account. Multitasking here this morning. So just sitting here patiently for a moment. Okay, so the pivot's just coming up to being hit. Now we may just get a reaction off the pivot. It may roll over. It's bearish below it, more bullish above it. Yes, I've got other moving averages in the way there above, which could still stall things, but hopefully the reaction off those won't be too big. So just waiting to see. Hence why I'm only taking halves. One thing was that we had this 4 hourly a cluster of moving averages here, which it looks like it's just pitching above. Just waiting for a bit of confirmation. The daily pivot could also act on the underside of that, with the prior lows that are sitting across there could just react as a resistance point. So risking half to get in slightly earlier, a bit more aggressive, but we'll add on the break. So fractally, just looking through these markets, just taking this down to a 30-minute chart, and we've got this sort of cluster, this 30, the death cross almost, 30 going across, 50 going across the 200 here, trying to at least, and it may well get below there, but a large part of that movement may have already happened. So we've got this sort of cluster here with the daily pivot now. That for some people they may want to sell on that basis. Okay, but actually I'm going to get my ticket ready here. It just looks like it's looking like it wants to get my second position in. So if you can push on through there a bit more convincingly, it'd be nice. What time is it? 9:11. We're okay in terms of time. So it's 10 past 9, 11 minutes past 9. Still got some potential to come in here if you can get above there. Just being patient here. But it looks like it wants to get across those moving averages. At the same time, it's going through its 4-hourly moving average that I was looking at earlier. So it's clearing the way. The only thing is, then I've got a bit of 60-minute resistance. But if you waited for everything to be cleared, you'd never be in a trade, or you'll be in the trade so late. So just waiting for 13, buying at 13.30 if it can get there. Okay, we could be seeing a bit of volatility here, maybe. We've been sitting here, it's now 25 past 9, it's 17 minutes a moment ago, so 10 minutes past. And are we just going to click on my magic 13.30? Is it going to happen? It's trying its best. I want it to be above that pivot basically to add the other half of this trade in, but it's nearly there. Come on, get above that pivot. Okay, the more I look at this, the less likely it looks like it's going to happen. So we're now at 9:30ish, 9:29, still not seeing the trigger. Just waiting to see this break above here. Okay, we've got the 9:30 candle in. Is it gonna trigger me in? Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and be patient and just leave the half position trading. But would very much like it to do it sooner rather than later. So really, just looking for this to pitch above its pivot, maybe just fractionally above the 30 actually. But just waiting for that, just to show me it wants to go further. It's close. Come on, break the pivot and we're in. So at the 30, is it going to just come on? Pitch that pivot. It's right bang into the pivot at the moment. Thought it was 30, but it's just above it, but it's just pausing around this area. So one thing I was just discussing, it's the thing is the price is consolidated around the highs here, so it makes it much more attractive to me in terms of holding on, expecting. There we go. I'm in. Just bought there. So that's it. So two halves in. That's it. Full position in. We'll put a 30 pop stop on that, and I'll set the targets in just. So in terms of targets here, I'm going to look at. Really was looking at the bodies up here at 1391. I will the add-in I've put in here. I'll just target just below that pivot there. It's around about 113.80. So I'm going to put 113.80 in that for that one. That's about 50 pips, 49 pips, somewhere in that region. 48 pips. And the initial trade, the first position, let's see if we can get a bit targeted. That's well, 1390. So looking at just around those bodies, there's no point trying to be absolute hero there. So that's going to be about 55 pips, somewhere in that region. Let's put the right number in. 55, 60 pips maybe. Now I will manage the stops on these. It's a bit 58 pips, sorry, 58 pips. It's going to be about there. So that's all done. 58, that'll do. So I will manage the stops on these if and when if they start pushing up sufficiently. Just edge the stops up, but for now that's left alone. So we're sitting in there with the targets in at 1380 and 1390. So I'll pause you, put you back on pause for now. So it's at 9:34. Let's see what happens. Okay, so just looking at stop positions in terms of where we are, was the first trade I entered, I put the stop in right the way down here, just well out of the way, just to give it some breathing. Second position sitting just below these lows here. What I will do if this continues in its move is start moving these stops, but I don't want to move them too aggressively, but that first one may be able to be moved underneath to the same sort of levels as it moves up. I just need to see it continue to push a little bit further, and I will look to gently move those stops up there. So at this stage, leaving stuff alone and let it getting on with itself. Okay, so I was discussing the stops a short while ago. So what I'm doing here now is just moving the original position, just moving the original position stop up to, it's sitting at the moment at 1302, so I'm just going to bring it up to 1312, so just bringing it up a 1302, sorry, that's the second position. The first position is at 1292, so I'm going to bring it up to 1302, to the same position as the second in the add-in. So just moving that, so that brings that risk down just to 20 pips on the first entry, and still 30 on the second. Okay, so just reviewing this morning's trade, just been stopped on this morning's trade. So it's 11:52. We've just euro. This is the dailies here. Sorry, just bringing it down. The time frames had looked decent when it started breaking through here. Caught the bounce off the 4-hourly 50. Looked like, well, might have had some more coming from this. It ran into that 60, 30, 20. I'll get it right way around. 34, 60 minute 34 moving average. Just couldn't get through it. Stifled a little bit, looked like it was going to hold up there, but has since broken out. Cable's really taken a sell as well. So, and we're actually seeing the yen strengthen. This looks to me, as I'm looking through these markets, if I bring the Aussie up there, see the Aussie selling off a little bit here, may catch support off its 60 minute 21. To me, the Aussie's been one of the stronger currencies here, but looking at these patterns now, well, they might be in for more downside. It is only 7 minutes to 12. I was looking at the potential of the pound yen short. If the yen's starting to catch the bid again, I was just looking to see if this sort of larger flag took a roll over. The pound against the yen for quite a bit here has been looking a lot softer. Lower highs, lower lows through here. Looking softer, just waiting till post 12 o'clock. So we'll put this back on pause for now and be back once we see if things set themselves out. Okay, just resuming the video here at 1404. So we've been sitting here watching, well, I say watching this euro, been watching a lot of markets, and some of them are now rolled, but never got into trades on them. I was looking at this euro, there wasn't going to, well, I wasn't too keen on re-entering on the long side after it did the price action. You see on this 5 minute time frame, it put lower highs, lower lows through here, and then it took this big bounce, and I thought, well, maybe it's got some potential, and then we've sort of sat there looking and watching and waiting to see what other signals it gave, and basically it's just consolidated and it's in a tight old range at this stage. Trying to draw people in maybe for the short side, and it may roll from here, but personally I've stuck out of this. Missed a trade most likely on the pound there, but it's one of those trades after the event. You say, oh, you could have shorted it there, and we did look at the price action on it, didn't like it at the time, and when it did start setting up a reasonable move, the risk reward just wasn't in it for it. It's maybe a 50-50. It's just finding a bit of support around these lows here, so not really taking my fancy. And sorry, I'll just come back to that pound for a moment. And in one case, it actually started looking up quite bullish, and it was if it had been that it had more potential reward, etc., we would have been on the bullish side of that. So it's just a very fact that it didn't look so good. We kept out of it. So all in all, it's where it's tumbling now. It's really showing its hand a little more. The euro just didn't work this morning. It looked good at the time, pushed up, high lows, high highs all the way through here. Did move up. I don't know, we were up about 20, 30 pips at one stage, or 20 pips at one stage, maybe 30 on one of the trades of the first part. But either way, just didn't come to be. So I'm going to end today's day trading. Now, if you want to come and day trade with us for a couple of days, you can come and join our trading room for 2 days next week on Wednesday and Thursday, so it's 17th, 18th. I will put a link to the bottom of this video where you can join us for a couple of days, ask questions, see a bit more detail, of course. And Charlie and myself will be covering those 2 days. Have a great weekend in the meantime, and it's a bye for me.